Hello there. Thank you for joining me. The painting we're going to do today is entitled Willow Creek. It's a beautiful, beautiful old scene. It kind of reminds us of the English countryside. It has a rock bridge going over to a covered bridge. Got a lot of detail in it, so let's get started. Let's go right to the palette. I'm mixing white with a little bit of flesh. White and flesh. Using a big brush, I want to cover a large area. There's no detail in this area, so we can use the big brush and kind of move along at a rapid pace. We're going to start painting in the horizon. As I told you, this is the bridge, the rock bridge going over to the covered bridge, surrounded by beautiful foliage. Let's get the horizon laid in, and we'll just get going. Let me put on my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. Be a good idea. Okay, now I pre-sketched my canvas. That was kind of giving me some guidelines so that I wouldn't take up so much of your time trying to find my way. So I'm just going to kind of jump and skip across here, filling in my colors. Big tree on this side, and I'm pulling my paint into the shape of the tree, into the outline. Tree behind the bridge here, I'm pulling my paint into the outline. Tree behind the bridge, I'm pulling my paint into the outline. That's important to do those things. Okay, in the horizon, I do not want a straight line across here. That would make my painting monotonous. It would make it harsh, hard, stiff looking. See, I'm making high places and low places. Now I'm going to have to wash my brush. We're going to fill in the rest of the sky with white and cobalt blue hue. Cobalt blue hue. You can use ultramarine blue for this step if you'd like. Okay, got a lot of paint on our brush. Start at the top of the canvas, a little bit too blue hue there. Start at the top of the canvas, work down to the flesh, into the shapes of the trees on the side. Oh, toot. And just lay your paint on sort of haphazardly. You don't have to take any great pains with this. That's one reason I mix with the brushes. I get a different saturation of colors that just really works beautiful. Keeps my sky or anything that I'm painting from taking on a flat look. Sometimes your brush picks up a little more white, sometimes it picks up a little more blue. Down into the flesh, on over to the left side of the canvas. Got big trees over in here. What are we going to do? You've got it. Down into the outline of them. All the way to the corner. And don't worry about it looking messy. We're not going to leave it like this. Okay, now while I'm working with that blue, I'm going to go down to the water. White and blue. This is a beautiful span of water through here. And when I change colors, I'll try to remember to tell you the color combination that I'm using. Okay, all of this is water over in here. You can almost already see it, can't you? Banks, water, bridge. It's going to be pretty. Okay, water all the way over to the edge of the canvas. Now, this is later on in the painting, but we will have beautiful reflections from these dark trees down in this water. A little bit later on, that's going to be real exciting when we get to that point. Okay, now I'm just going to wipe my brush, load it with the alizarin crimson, and then I'm going back to the left side of the canvas and add some of this color to this top sky. Now, alizarin is kind of strong. If you've painted with it, you know when it gets in your bristles of your brush, how hard it is to clean your brush. So don't put a lot on your brush, and then if you do overload it, take a paper towel and wipe. Just wipe your brush. Because it is very, very, very strong. Now, if we've added it to the sky, what are we going to have to do? Add it to the water. Little bit here and a little bit there, and it all pieces together. Okay, I'm going to wash my brush, and then I'm going back to the palette again. And I'm going to load with white and just a little bit of my flesh mixture. Little bit of my flesh mixture. Just enough to kind of brighten it up a little bit. Now I'm going to establish some clouds. See, my clouds are already almost established for me. Really, all I have to do is sort of put tops on them. Blend them down into the flesh. Let's put a little wisp of one over in here. Down into the flesh. Let's see. Before I do that, I think I'll take the fan brush and sort of straighten, smooth out some of these old brush strokes. And I got a bristle or two I can see. New brush losing bristles. I'll pick those off as I move along. Right down to the cloud. Now there's no point in going down into the cloud because we'll have work I'm going to do down in there later. Now look at that. Isn't that pretty? Almost mirror smooth. Okay, I'm going to load the brush again and add another cloud right up in here. Keep your clouds sort of ragged at the top if you can, so that they don't take on a symmetrical look. In classes, we call that too-tooey. They look too much the same, too much alike, no interest. I'm taking the fan brush now, I'm going to blend out a few of these strokes in my clouds. And if I have a shape that doesn't please me, I'm going to touch it up right now. Down we go, right into the flesh. You see that harsh flesh is just sort of disappearing now as I'm blending it into the cloud area. Diagonal strokes if you want to, vertical. I like it, I think it's real pretty, but it's just a little bit too tooey. Just a point, nothing to, no interest, so I'm going to add another little point. A little bit lower to give me a little bit of tension. I think I'll do the same thing right over here. Could not be any prettier. As you see, I know what this painting is going to look like. Okay. I'm going to a smaller brush now, and I'm going to stipple some back to the palette one more time. Alizarin crimson, cobalt blue hue, or ultramarine, whichever you're using. Want some purple trees over in the background to give us distance in the painting. Just kind of smudge it around on your palette till you get the consistency or the value that you're looking for. Gonna lay them right across here. Got some that go back here. Everywhere these purple trees go in, I'll just go ahead and lay them in while I'm working with this color. Okay, now back to the bridge. I've laid the color in, and now I'm going to stipple the tree tops. When you stipple, you push your paint against your brush in sort of a patting motion. I want these trees to be symmetrical. I do not want them to be symmetrical. I want some high ones, I want some tall ones, some thin ones, some short ones, some heavy. Maybe I should say stout, skinny. You want an uneven shape. Same thing here. Push up. Keep your tops ragged, keep them open, keep them thin. Add a little bit of that color to your water. Okay, there's one thing I need to do before I go any farther. With a little bit of the water would show through these openings in this wall, so I'm going to paint it in real quickly. A little bit of the purple reflection would show from the trees too. So we might as well get that too. Okay, now it's green tree time. Sap green and burnt umber. Now I'm going to mix a lot of this in just a few minutes, but right now I'm being kind of stingy with my paint. Adding a little white to the mixture. It's not going to be a pretty color. I think I'll add a touch of alizarin to kind of give it some life. It's not going to be a real pretty color, but it's going to give us, it's going to work beautifully with the painting, and it's going to give us the distance that we need in our color perspective. These green trees are going in front of the purple ones. We're going to have, oh, let me sketch them off for you. Big old green tree here, big old green tree here. Big old green tree over here. Okay, now let's get back to filling them in. This is going to take a minute or two. We're going to work across this area first. And you're going to actually see how this green is pushing that purple back into the distance. Just exactly like magic. Pushes it right back. Now what do I have to keep in mind here? Don't follow these shapes that I've already established. It's so easy once you start filling this in, you see these shapes and the next thing you know you've repeated them. That gives your painting a stiff, symmetrical look, and that is what we try to avoid. Okay, let's stop just a minute now and fill in our bridge. We're going to use burnt sienna, little bit of yellow ochre, little bit of white, little more yellow ochre, little more white. Let's fill in the roof first. Look at the red working with the green now. I'm telling you the truth, I can just get excited just seeing this color go on this canvas. It really just does something to me. Okay, now we're going to put a shadow underneath the eave. We are going to put an opening in the doorway. Got to be big enough for the cars or the horse and buggy or whatever's going to traipse across that bridge to go through, won't it? You know it does. All right, now while I'm working with that burnt umber, I'm going to turn my brush to the vertical position. I am going to pull downward this way, and I'm going to come back in a few minutes and fill in the color of the bridge. But right now I've got the rock bridge on my mind. I'm going to fill it in. Use the same color that I did for the bridge. Thin the paint a little bit so it'll glide easily. Oh, you're just turning out to be so pretty. I wish I could go across that bridge. You can almost hear footsteps going across it, can't you? Okay, what are we going to have to do now? Reflections in the water. Okay, back to the burn umber. We have to have a little shadow. Oh, get it straight, Norma. Get it straight. Straighten up there, girl. Hadn't had enough coffee this morning. Okay, reflections. Everything that surrounds this, tell you the truth, that looks pretty good. I almost said my favorite word. Everything that surrounds the water. Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go ahead and fill in the bridge real quick and we'll be finished with that area. Let's get this in here real quickly. And then we're going to do some fast moving on the foreground. It's going to be ugly until we get the highlights in, so you're just going to have to bear with me. You see, when I pull this paint up into my burnt umber that I put on just a minute ago, what happens? Gives me the effect of boards. I'll tell you one thing we're going to have to do right now, though. We've got to decide a light source, don't we? Let's let our light come from the left. So that tells us that we are going to have to lighten the top of the roof just a little bit. We are going to have to lighten the left side just a tad. We are going to have to darken the front a little bit from the corner on back. Okay, now I'm going to stop and fill in the green, big green tree back behind here. Sap green burnt umber and a touch of alizarin. And I'm going to be going back and forth to the palette quite often. I'm just reloading the brush, so I'm going to be using the same color for a long time now. Stipple the shapes, stipple the edges. Keep them ragged. Let's take it on down a little bit. Now, just doesn't that look great? What's that tell us we have to do? A little bit of reflection in the water, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We're going to move on and fill in this, all of this ground area down in here. And then for that I'm using my foliage brush. It covers a lot of territory pretty fast, and then I can use it to get the effect that I want on the outside edges, the bushes and things that just hang out across the water here. Sap green burnt umber, occasional dip of alizarin crimson. My favorite colors in the whole wide world. I just don't know that I could get through a painting without them. These banks pull right on out into the water. Whoop. Long handles on brushes just get in your way. Okay, now see, I'm stippling the edges pretty heavily. When I work in the open area, I take a little bit more time. Could even switch to a smaller brush, but I think I'll just try to continue with this one for a minute or two. While I'm working here, I'm going to go ahead and pull my reflections down. I'm going to soften those in just a minute. Now I'm going to move over to the left side of the canvas and really just lay this paint on. A lot of paint. And like I said, I'm going back to the palette every so often, but I'm picking up the very same colors. Sap green, burnt umber, an occasional dip of alizarin. This little old brush just works beautifully, doesn't it? You know it does. Got a little bit hang out over in here. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be dark. Not going to be a bit pretty for a minute or two. But I promise thee we'll do better before this painting is finished. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush to get up in that little area there. But while I'm working with this color, I'm going to go ahead and pull these reflections down and frighten you half to death. All over the place. They're even going to be up in there. Now I'm going to switch over to a smaller brush, and I think I'll use my little crooker to get up in that little nook and cranny in here. This is a sweet little old brush. Look, it looks like a set on it, doesn't it? But it'll really do your work for you. Pull reflections down. Down, 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 down she goes. Got to get these reflections dark enough up in these little corners though. Eddies or whatever you want to call them. Okay, let's fill in this area around the kind of nestle back in here. How about let's just pull up a little bit right in here. We're going to put a few highlights on that, and it's really going to be pretty. Going to take the fan brush and kind of smooth out these reflections just a little bit. Just one little bit. Isn't that water pretty? It's just almost talking to us. How about some highlights in it now? How about one there? That scare you to death? How about a little over in here? Up under the edges of the banks. Through here. Okay, now to my smaller little brush. Let's start adding some highlights. Really get something pretty going in here. This is yellow ochre that I'm using now. Okay, now see how I'm separating each bank by leaving a dark shadow. Leaving a dark shadow between each bank. That is so important. Now you lay this highlight in, you blend it down a little bit, you leave it alone. Let's highlight the edge of these trees a little bit, like the light's just catching on them. This beautiful day is just singing to us, isn't it? This is going to be so exciting what we're going to do right now. We're going to pull a tree out of this dark area over in here. Another small one, another small one. Reflection, reflection, reflection. Back side of the tree. Highlights on the tree. Now see, out of this dark mass, we're just going to absolutely pull a tree out of that dark foliage back in there. Now this is burnt sienna and yellow ochre that I'm using now to pull my tree forward. Boy, when I get started, I don't know when to quit. I want to put some limbs on that tree. When I work in these dark areas, I just can't hardly stop. Let's show a little bit of the tree through the foliage. And how about a little highlight on it? Now don't get carried away, Norma, that's too light. Take your time and do it right. Let's put a little highlight. Just kind of pat it on with the edge of my crooker. That old tree just kind of jumped to life, didn't it? You want a little highlight up in here, you can have it. You want a little limb up in here, you can have it. You want a little water line down in here, you got to have it. You have no choice here. You have to separate your bank from your water. You want your reflections to kind of sing. You want to kind of wiggle them a little bit. Let's add some highlights on these banks now. Let's see, let's put a little water line here to separate these two banks too, and let it go back up in the eddy there. I think we could use a few more highlights, excuse me, a few more highlights down in here, don't you? Sure you do. Quite sure you do. Pretty colors. How about in the tree? Let's go back now with some heavier highlights in the tree to really bring it to life. Make it jump, make it sing. And I think that's exactly what it's doing, it's talking to us. Let's put a few little highlights over on this side. Added a little more cyan and white just to give it a little bit of added interest. You want a little bit of highlight here? Just a little. A little bit of color in the water. And now I'm going to take the script liner, and I do know that I had it a minute ago. I'm going to thin my paint. I'm going to put a bunch of weeds and cattails down in here. Some dark, some light. You want some to lean to the left, some to lean to the right, some to stand straight up. You want to put a few out in the water, you certainly may. Let's put one or two over in here with a light color, okay? And then I think we'll just call it finished for today. You can put a lot of cattails in yours. Thank you, I certainly have enjoyed being with you.